Recording in progress.
Buenas tardes, bienvenidos.
Good afternoon
Buenas tardes, gracias.
and welcome.
Buenas tardes. Vamos a esperar un par de minutos para que nuestros participantes.
We're going to wait a couple of minutes for all our participants to connect. In the meantime, please write your name and where you're from, and then in the name of your organization on the chat box. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Vamos a empezar en un par de minutos, a las 2:03 exactamente. Tenemos 18 participantes. Gracias por estar
aquí. We'll begin shortly in 2 or 3 minutes. We are about to begin. Thank you all for joining us.
Nombres conocidos y otros nuevos. Bienvenidos.
It's wonderful to see some participants that have been with us before and some new members as well.
Muy buenas tardes, bienvenidos a los nuevos participantes que acaban de ingresar. Vamos a empezar en unos pocos segundos o minutitos, a ver si alguien más se une con nosotros. Somos 23.
Welcome. We're going to begin shortly. Welcome in the name of MAR Fund and the Small Grants Program. We will begin shortly. Please write your name, where you're from, and the name of your organization on the chat box, please. We are not live yet, but we will be streaming on Facebook Live in a few minutes. Yes, we confirm we're live. Excellent. So have a very good afternoon to all and welcome. I hope you're all doing very well in the name of MAR Fund and the Small Grants Program. Good afternoon. I want to make sure everybody can hear us, and also in the English channel, we have interpretation. Let us know if you can hear the English channel. Today, we're going to have a workshop on the online training workshop on the project management system and the guidelines for the 16th call for application or request for application. Some housekeeping rules. Make sure your mic is muted. You can turn on your cameras. Write your name, full name, country, and organization in the chat box to the same as you did when you registered. And you all signed up for this workshop because that way we are able to send you the recording of this meeting in Spanish or in English according to your need, as well as the PowerPoint presentation. If you need interpretation, please check on the bottom of the screen. There's a button that says language interpretation and click on the language of your preference. There is simultaneous interpretation. If you have any questions, please write to us on the chat box so we can answer them. If you have any questions or doubts regarding the workshop, you can also raise your hand or write a question on the chat box. It's a very interactive workshop today. And so please also remember, we're going to take a picture, a group picture when we let you know. So you turn on your cameras when the time comes. Today we're going to talk about the small grants program. We're going to talk about the request for applications number 16, general information, requirements, and the application of the environmental and social management system, and how you can present a proposal and use our online system, how to register for it, how to use this platform, how to submit a proposal, attach annexes, send it, revise it, and any help that you need. And finally, if there's going to be a space for questions and answers. Once again, welcome. Today, Elisa and Carla are going to talk, are going to share this workshop. I am Elisa Blanda. I work with Marfund since 2018. Some of you already know me, and I see this is now you see me with all the emails I send you. Now you know who I am. And we also have Carla Saldaña, who's a technical assistant for the environmental and social program and systems. And it's a very important element for the proposal presentation. As you know, MARFund, the fund for the Mesoamerican Reef System, is a fund that was developed by 4 environmental funds that exist. One is the Mexican Fund for Conservation of Nature. We have the Protected Areas Conservation Trust, Biosphere Foundation for Honduras, and for Guatemala, we also have the FCG. Each officer is representing, there is an officer in each country, and you can lead your questions to them for any specific information, and especially for this this call for application. Any questions, any doubts also that you might have regarding the platform, the use of the platform, or anything else that you need for this process. The emails are also available on screen, but you will also have all the detailed information online. Some background information. What is the small grants program? It began in 2006 with the first request where we supported all types of projects in the Caribbean coast, in the Mar area, for Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras. And so far, we have supported over 18 protected areas, supporting NGOs, communities, academic institutions, government organizations, with over 108 projects of the traditional window and 3 of the Reef Rescue Initiative and 23 projects of the Belize Marine Fund. How does this work? The small grants program has different steps. The first one is the first step we are in right now is the request or the call. And then we have the submission of proposals to the system. The date for this is October 16th. Then we have an evaluation period of proposals. Then we have the selection of the proposals that are to be selected or that win the request, the preparation of the first contract for the disbursement and the the reports and disbursement for monitoring visits. What is new? Since the 12th call, we have a new system, which is an online system where our uh, participants or those that file a request can find all the information. Where can you find it? You can find it on our webpage. If you can see that on screen, we have a link there, the marfan.org webpage. There is a link that says in Spanish, convocatorias, but there's a flag there. You can change the language to English, and you can find the RFPs in your language. Could you let me know if there are any questions? For those who have just entered, please write your name, country, and institution in the chat box. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand or write on the chat box and we will help you with it, anything. The 16th RFP has two financial windows to be able to apply for. The first one is a traditional small grant program, which has three specific objectives. And what we want is to be able to support the management and protection of coastal and marine resources in the Mesoamerican reef system. The four countries, as you remember, are Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, and Honduras. And the protected areas are those that are prioritized, that are specific. And you can see within the RFP which these are the areas, and you can see examples of how to apply. We support businesses that are showing a positive impact in the SAM, in the MAR. We support resilience and for protected areas, communities, organizations, and governmental organizations in the management of residual water and waste management. The second initiative is reef rescue, where we seek to restore, strengthen, rehabilitate the reef in the MAR. This window, the second window, covers all the areas of the MAR of these same four countries. The initiative seeks to promote resilience. It also seeks to promote new techniques for restoration, projects for restoration that promote sustainable businesses and entrepreneurship, and finally, strategies to prevent and address the stony coral tissue loss disease. So remember, all this information is available in all our social media in our webpage. These are the two windows that I mentioned, and the final date for submission of proposals is October 16th. Remember, there are three objectives. The application is for prioritized areas in the MAR. Not all areas are eligible, and the duration can be up to 17 months of proposal or of the project, with a maximum of 30,000 US dollars. And if it goes beyond 18 to 24 months, with an amount of 50,000 US dollars. And the Reef Rescue Initiative has four objectives, specific objectives. It applies to all the coral reef areas of the MAR. You can submit a proposal of up to 24 months, and the maximum amount is $34,500. You will see all the information on how to submit a request and to ensure it's eligible, the top dates, the due dates, the proposals, all the other important aspects to take into consideration for the proposal, the selection process, and all the annexes necessary for you to be able to carry out the proposal in our webpage, in the page of the request. And please revise carefully, make sure you are applicable and if where who can applicate, who can apply, whether it's in an NGO, a government institution, and has an office in one of these four countries of the MAR. And if you are academia, you should have, or individuals, you have so the support of an NGO who will be responsible for the donation.
Later, we can quickly look at the application, and you will have all the formats and the annexes necessary to write proposals in this section of formats. And it's important that in order to apply, that you should have information on the requirements, additional requirements that we need. Marfund is working at this time on social and environmental management system so that you can visit it and revise it. In the case that your proposal is approved, you will also have to comply with the system. So sooner or later, it is important to be able to be aware of what types of policies and procedures you have, which ones should be used or applied for your proposals, because any proposal has a risk. Carla will talk a little bit more to you about this. We have to reduce these risks because of the people, for the people that work in the projects, but also the social and environmental risks that have to do with the community and the reef. So remember that as well as the proposal in itself, you have to revise information on the environmental and social management system and revise Appendix B that includes all the requirements that you need to present with your proposal. You can find this information in the safeguarding section on our webpage, and we will show you where. In a second, revise all the requirements in this document that's on Appendix 2B that you need to fill out, revise, sign, and declare that what you mention is correct, and share these files together with the proposal. If your proposal also responds to one of the specific objections on sustainable businesses, you'll have to add to this Appendix B this format for a sustainable business or for a sustainable business form. So now we'll pass the microphone to Carla, who will explain a little bit about why the social and environmental system is important, where we start and how we use it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Elisa. Thank you and welcome. It's wonderful to see you here. Some new faces, some I've known from before. As Elisa mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the environmental and social management system, which is important because it's part of the cycle of the project. From the point that you are now working on preparing proposal. Why is it important and what's the context? Just to mention a little bit, well, this system is, we're not the only system that uses this. There are several other environmental organizations that are implementing them, and their objective is to assure that all these projects have a sustainable benefit for the environment and the community, in this case for the MAR region. Avoiding, minimizing, and mitigating environmental and social impact risks. What we're seeking is do no harm and do good both at social an ecosystem level. So, what is the system? Because it's something very complex. Our system has two aspects. One is a reference frame where we can find all the context, the information of our system, and its medulla is the social environmental policy. As Marfan, within this, we have the basic information of why we have these systems, their objective, how they're going to be applied in the projects that we finance. We also have an exclusion list. It's important that you should revise this, have a look at it, because if in any of the proposals that you present are within our list of exclusion, they would not be able to be financed by Marfan. And finally, we have our 10 environmental and social safeguards. We will look at these a little bit in the next slide. We also have tools, because even if the context is important for us to understand and have a better vision of the risks, of the safeguards, and where this is all about, what our policy is, we have to understand that we may have this risk because I'm going to have scuba diving activities that could be risky, but something that helps us to identify which are these risks and which could be some of the mitigation aspects are the tools that we have. And so I'm going to talk about the questionnaire of social and environmental evaluation that you have to share with the proposal that you will present. Also within these tools, we have the summary and of the laws, national laws, and we're very aligned to these laws. This is a tool that we have where we have a summary of the legislation of the 4 MAR countries that you can consult. If you have any concerns, for example, am I going to need a environmental impact evaluation and things as such. And we have this kind of tools that we have as formats that will help you to make your applications. You can find all of this information on our webpage. We have it all in English and Spanish already. You can download all this documentation. Thank you. So, as I mentioned before, our system is divided into 10 safeguards. What do we mean by these safeguards? In each one of them, we can find the risks of the activities that we are carrying out based on this classification we have. These, we should mention that it's not that Marfan made these up, but these are aligned to other organizations, and something very important in this system is that it helps all our organizations to strengthen ourselves in these aspects. As you know, any project has certain risks. Often we don't see these risks. We see them as something normal, and we're already applying some kind of measures, but if we can strengthen these areas as an organization, it's very important. We have 10 safeguards. In number 1 and 2, we have a little arrow. And what that means that these safeguards will always apply independently to what activities you're going to carry out. Safeguard number 1 is about the evaluation of the environmental and social impact. We also see information on the different tools that we have in our system and how we can use them. Number 2 has to do with work conditions, labor conditions. We make sure that everything is within the law, that there are no risks. Number 3, from 3 to 8, these apply depending on the activities that you're going to carry out. Just to briefly mention them, safeguard number 3 talks about efficiency in the prevention of contamination. And this will activate when we have infrastructure, cattle activities. And what we're seeking is that there should be no impact on the soil or resources. Number 4 is about communities. Here we are looking for the safeguard of the health of the community, that our project should have no negative impacts on the community. Safeguard number 6 is restriction, has to do with excess, and this is when our project has to do with changing some management plan, and we're going to have some restriction to access on behalf of the community. Number 6 is very important because this is when we do research work, and we have to extract some mineral, for example. We have to get all the permissions that are necessary to safeguard the biodiversity. Number 7 is very important in the context of our region. We know there are several indigenous people, villages in our area, and this has to do with the free and previously informed consent of these people. Number 8 is heritage safeguarding, and number 9, this is where we incentivize the gender vision within every project and activities that are balanced between men and women. Number 10 is also very important for us. It's very valuable that you as project executors and people should engage the community in an adequate manner till the end of the project. Now that we have learned about the safeguarding aspect, it's not that we're just going to carry out this evaluation when you present your proposal. Here it's important to outline this is something that will be all through the life of the project. We're on step number 1. We have already made the call, and we're communicating more about the proposal so that you can include it and so that this can help you, and the way that you have to fill out this environmental and social form can be easier for you. Now, we also have literal number C, where we have the proposal evaluation, and we can also see risk evaluation. Here I would like to mention that apart from we're not looking for you to just say no to everything and say that there are no risks. And we know every project has a risk. So it's good to be able to visualize these from the beginning. What measures I need, what measures I can implement to mitigate all of these risks that I'm identified. That's why we do this at an early time of the project. This is something that you have to monitor throughout the project. And in the end, it's important that we should also evaluate how you have carried this out. Next one. So now that we have a little more clear about the context, the tools, where we start with the system, what do we need at this point where we are? Well, first of all, I invite you to review the documents and to not leave the screening till the end. I don't know if you've actually had a look at this very extensive aspect, but before completing this, it's important that you should have identified the activities that have to do with the objectives of your project. So once you've identified these, we're going to identify which are going to be partially or totally financed by Marfa, because these are the ones that we're going to use to answer the screening. So if I'm thinking that from the beginning I'm going to buy the fuel and this will be funded by Martin, then when we fill out this questionnaire, if there's something that talks about fuel, I would say no, because it's not within the budget. And once we do this, we also identify the mitigation measures, and it's important to have this in mind and to make sure there are no activities that are from within the exclusion list. And then we will start the environmental and social Appendix C.
Bueno, y como decía, hay que contestar sí o no. No sé
We
si
have to
ustedes en el
answer
cuestionario no
yes
tienen
or no.
preguntas abiertas, realmente son preguntas muy
These are
claras
not
que vamos a
open-ended
contestar
questions. They're
actividades que van a estar siendo
very
financiadas por
punctual
nosotros.
questions, close-ended,
Y hay una sección de
regarding
comentarios en este
the
sector. Les
financing.
animo que si
There's
ustedes
a
van a
comment
hacer alguna
section, and
actividad
I
que ustedes
encourage you
tengan alguna
to
acción para mitigar el
include there
riesgo
any
de
actions that you have
riesgo, lo puedan
taken
colocar
for
en el
mitigation
chat.
of this
Está
risk,
abierto, sin embargo,
and you
también
can
les
include any
pido
details there. It's
que
very
en esta
valuable to
etapa no
know
tengan
this.
que compartirnos
In
o
this
elaborar todas estas
stage,
actividades.
you don't have to prepare all these documents. It's more something to keep in mind and things you have to get to know to have ready once you are approved. But you can mention some basic information. Don't worry about preparing plans and protocols in detail in this stage of the process. Once this questionnaire is submitted, we assign also a risk category. This is our questionnaire. It is a brief view of what it looks like. So we have an information section, a general information section, where you include the date, the program, small grants program, the proponent, some questions below. The questions are divided by safeguarding blocks. Safeguarding block 1, 2, 3, and each are all related to the safeguards, and column D will be more related to the yes or no questions, where we're going to click on that. If there's any other additional information that you want to clarify, you can see these in column E. And column R is where you can include all the comments, any additional comments that you want to add. We encourage you to include any additional comments. Next slide. And it's also important to answer all the questions, even if you do not apply to them, just say no. And the last one, the question number 14, is what is the classification based on risk? You can respond to this question at the end of the questionnaire, and you can, once we move forward in the process, we can refine this part of the process with you, working hand in hand with you. We like to work with the organizations hand in hand because it's part of their strengthening process, and we know this is a new thing, and many don't have these plans as part of their experience. So we follow up on their process. The classification or risk-based classification there's one level C, which is low risk, with minimum risk or impact or of adverse impacts. There are no field activities that are going to be executed. Those are category C. Category B is moderate risk. These are proposals with risks and environmental impacts or social potentials that can be easily addressed with a mitigation, necessary mitigation. There's a subcategory of B+, which is substantial risk, but this is a single activity that is very of high risk and significant impact. And category A are projects with very high risks and have environmental and social risks that are significant and irreversible and unprecedented. And these are not possible to finance. So all this is very overwhelming, we know, but we will invite you all to revise these and little by little we're going to be working on this. And to finalize the process. We revise your proposals. That is why we request that you are very honest with the information you provide us, because we compare it with the development charts or table to see what activities are done. We give suggestions to avoid any particular risks identified. Thank you for your attention in this part. But if you have any other questions or doubts, please write to us. Thank you, Elisa. So we're going to take a few minutes to clarify any questions or doubts regarding the conditions or requirements, the environmental and social management system, the objectives of the request. And then we're going to go over the next part of the workshop on how to submit a proposal through our online platform. So far, are there any specific questions or any issues that you have seen when you read some of the requirements for this request before we proceed? Any questions? Or raise your hand. For those who joined us recently, remember to write your name, what country, what organization you're part of in the chat box. You can also write any questions you have in the chat box. And if you need online interpretation, we have it available as well.
If anyone from Belize is needing a translation, please select underneath in the Zoom, the icon, I think is, what is the name? I don't think it's translation, right? It's translation?
It's translation.
Interpretation. Yes. Thank you, Nabil. So you can have simultaneous translation from Zoom. Yes. ¿Tenemos preguntas? Do we have any?
Okay, do we have any questions so far? There is one here. Do you have the list of the protected areas that are a priority for the MAR? I can show you the list, actually, very quickly. We're going to look at this information very briefly so you can see where you can find the protected areas. I'm going to show you the MARFund page, marfund.org in English, and I can change the language on the left-hand corner with a flag to see the English or the Spanish page. All the information is available there when we launched the 2 windows and how you can apply to these windows. If we apply to the traditional program, we have specific protected areas that are selected. 5 are in Belize, Corozal Bay, Port Honduras, South Water Cay, Paynes Creek, and Gladden Spit Silk Keys. Guatemala has 4 areas, 3, sorry. Honduras has 5. Sandy Bay, West End, Turtle Harbor, Rock Harbor, Omoa National Park, and Cuyamel Refuge, and the National Park Capiro, and the Lagoon of Guaymoreto, and also the Cayos Cochinos Archipelago. And Mexico also has Yumbalam, Chinchorro Bank, Ixcalac, the Manatee Sanctuary, and the 4 areas of the island of Cozumel. If you want to apply to these objectives of the traditional window, these are the areas we have available. But if you want to apply for the Reef Rescue Initiative, following the protective objectives of rescuing the reef, any area of the mar is available, is eligible. Thank you, Carla, for sharing. There's a question in the chat box. Why is the National Park Rio Dulce in Guatemala not available for this RFP? It is not part of the eligible areas because Marfund cannot support all the areas that are eligible. We have prioritized some. We wish in the future we can have more funds to be able to apply for or to support the application for all other areas. However, the Rio Dulce National Park, depending on where you are in it, you can, if you are in the Manabique area, Polo Chic area, you can check the RFP and see if applicable for you, if you can apply or not. If there is no justification, no clarity on why, then it's going to be an issue. But if you have any other questions, please ask us, email us to help you clarify any doubts. We are always available to help in this process, from the launch of the RFP to the closure of the request for proposals, and help you determine if there are aspects you need to clarify, you need to explain things, the activities well, to respond to the RFP.
Inés tiene la mano levantada.
Okay, there's a hand raised. Ines, go ahead.
Hola. Bueno, muchas gracias, equipo Marfon.
Hello and hi to the Thank you to the Marfund team. I just want to check. We would like to propose activities to be done in inclusion of people that are parts of other areas that are not eligible to be part of one single project. Is this something that we can do, and is there any recommendation on, is there something additional that we need to take into consideration? We would obviously report what are the areas, who are the people that are going to be included in the eligible areas by Marfund, of course, but I would like to hear your opinion on this. The important aspect here is that the organization, whether it's the organization is located in one of these protected areas, or the project or part of the project is located in one of these selected areas. But we, for example, we can begin a project in Jumalam and then keep going with other counterparts, other entities, other organizations in other parts surrounding the area that are not eligible. But at least a part or a group or an action has to happen in Jumbalam. So it is eligible, but at least something has to happen in one of the selected or protected areas. If we have management activities of solid waste in one area, and we want to extend it in other areas that are not eligible, it's something we can do. But if it's something happening within the protected area, but it's on the, we want to work, for example, on a particular area, but we also want to work on the basin, for example, upstream, that is not part of the protected area, maybe, or eligible area, but we know this affects our reefs, the watershed. It means it is important, it is feasible, it's acceptable. It is really important to work upstream or on the watershed and so that it all benefits the reef. So that is why you have to start from a specific eligible area and expand to other areas surrounding it.
Sí, gracias.
Perfect. Thank you for answering my question. Between Rio Dulce and Sarstún, is this area eligible? We should see the proposal then before you decide. Sarstún is an eligible area. Colochic and Manabique are all close. Guatemala is a very small area. It's all small, so it's important to know what type of project it is, how it applies, how it's going to be applied, what the impact is. So Danielle, your question regarding your question, we can go into it later and go over some details or email us.
Dependiendo lo que
Okay,
vayas.
so depending on what you're going to be doing and what kind of idea you have for your proposal, I think that Guatemala has a great diversity and needs, but we have to justify them well. If it's close to Sarsun, Polo Chico, Maradique, what are you going to do? How it's going to impact the reef? What benefits we're going to have at the end? So are there any more questions? Any concerns? Safeguarding is very important. All the files can be found online. So here you can see all the requests, the applicants that are eligible, the criteria. Your response has to have different criteria, at least one of these, measurable results, impact, to engage in area of interest, protected areas, communities. And in the annexes, here we have the proposal format for this year, the budget, the project for this year, development table for this year. And watch out because the formats change at every time there is an application. Also, the objectives change. So it's important to read them very well and carefully. There are examples so that you can prepare the measurable indicators for your projects, appendixes that you have to add. And depending on the appendix and the documents that you have in your organization, you need to enter these documents, not just have them, but you have to share these annexes. It's important that these annexes should have a name and be specified to that appendix. If you share the auditing of the organization, if it says it has to say Marfund auditing 2021, or if it's the board of director, and you write Marfund board of directors 2022. Specify the dates very well and what you're sharing. If there are no more questions, we can continue. We have a hand. Paola has a question. Yes, Paola. Hi, Elisa. Good afternoon. My question on the Reef Rescue Initiative is, for example, we have some projects of restoration, but we're focused basically on one species, and the techniques are a little bit outdated. And as you mentioned that the call for presentation, you talk about whether training is feasible within the proposal, if we could add this for personnel training, staff training in restoration techniques, and also regarding communities, because there's a reef that is very, if there's a reef that's very affected by the disease, is one of the sites that economically is providing a lot of income to the communities. And this is a site where there is snorkeling, a lot of snorkeling activities with tourists. And if training could be provided to the community members, snorkeling or diving and restoration of the reefs. I think this could fit in strengthening communities. Everything that has to do with resilience is very important, and to be a strengthened organization, trained, updated. I think that that definitely could be a resilience objective. And if you're working in restoration, then it can be justified. What do you think about this? The important thing is to justify your proposal, to have some background, how you have worked in the past, what you want to do in the future, how these training sessions and the strengthening is going to strengthen the reef, but also the community. And is that an answer that you were hoping for? Okay, I have another question. Okay, we are also planning to apply to the small grant initiative. And we want to know if we can incorporate an objective that has to do with restoration, or is it definitely not possible to include restoration in the small grant initiative? You can do two different things. What we have seen is that sometimes the organizations are very ambitious and they want to put a lot in one proposal, and it's not very clear. There's a little bit of everything, but it's not really well expressed in a proposal. So I recommend that you should decide on what you want to focus and have an objective that is related to rescue or vice versa, but try to seek that a proposal should be either pertaining to one window or another. Okay, thank you. Frida, have your question? You raised your hand. Mangrove restoration projects are something that we're not exactly supporting. There is no specific objective for this, but if you're in an eligible area, it could be related to the resilience. Strengthen the resilience of a mangrove forest, and a community fits into this objective. You can look and specify in the proposal what are these eligible aspects are examples. There are always other examples. These are examples that we give to strengthen resilience. We have supported reforestation of forests, of mangroves. But there's an essential point, which is participation of the community. And that is to strengthen resilience. That is the most important part. It's not within the investment, but it's an example that we can include within resilience with no doubt. Frida, is there anything else you'd like to add? Hello? Yes, that was my question. Thank you. Even though it's not within the objectives or within the examples of investment, it is within the objectives. So I think it can enter in that case, so long as it is multiplied. Yes, we are always seeking to justify why the importance, what kind of impact this type of restoration can give the reef and the community. So subsistence plans. The mangrove sustains the life of the community. It's very general here, but you know, this is only an example. I think we want to help everywhere, but there are very few funds, and there's an evaluation, and there's a selection behind this. What we want is for your proposals to be very good, to be strong, so they can reach our community, and the community will design based on the needs of the communities, protected areas, the current needs. We've also seen there's global warming, the corals are dying. We have a lot of bleaching. We have a lot of stony coral tissue, lost disease. We're going to have more hurricanes. The communities will be very impacted by this and all of that. The last question, please, and we will continue. And if there are any other questions, we can have them at the end. Sergio says the marine grass and the sargassum could be eligible in some proposals. Well, that will depend on how you want to make your proposal. With sargassum, how to collect it, how to use it for something else. In that case, it could be related to management of residues and not just solid waste, but it could be used for making, we could be talking about non-plastic containers, for example. Sustainable businesses. What are we going to do with sargassum? Or are you just going to collect it and throw it in the garbage dump? We should have a little bit more information, Sergio, to understand whether it could be eligible or not. It depends on how you justify it. Seagrass, if we fit it into resilience, it depends on how you're going to use it. It depends on how you justify it. The seagrass is a little different, and the sargassum with the mangroves or the primitive forest. It depends on what you want to do, Sergio. So if it's just for research, then it's a little bit more difficult, because small grants is a project with community participation. Very well. Sergio, I don't know if you would like to add a little bit. If not, we can continue. And we can always look at a specific case later on. Okay, so later on we will add to this. Continue with your questions, and then we will continue. I will continue a little bit explaining. Sorry. Thank you. How are you going to present a proposal? Obviously, since we have this system of online platform, you have to register. And some of your organizations are already registered. So on the part of the invitation or the call, you will see that there is a registry on our platform. And if you have a registry, somebody from your organization has a password and a user. So that if that person has forgotten or they don't know who it is, you can get in touch with us and we can inform you. You can write to me and I can tell you, well, this is the this person has password, a user, and we can give you access. If your organization is not on the list, then you have to register. And we have some links where you can register. There is a link in English and a link in Spanish. If it's an organization in Belize, you fill out the form in English, And Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico will have it in Spanish. When you register, when you send the request, you will receive 2 emails. The first is a welcome email that informs you that your application, that you've done it correctly, that you didn't forget any details. If you don't receive that email in 10 or 15 minutes maximum, it means that you did not fill it out correctly, or something happened, the line fell, or you have to register again. There might have been a missing information. After the first email, you will receive a second one, and this will be during office hours, usually. So if you register at midnight, you probably will receive the second email at 8 a.m. If you want to work over the weekend, I recommend to register on Friday. With this information, you enter to the platform with this link that I send you by email with your user and your password. If by chance you forget the password, you can also click here on forgot the password, and there will be an automatic email that will help you change your password. The online platform, when you access, has this screen. So please turn off your microphones.
Al entrar a la plataforma, ustedes van a tener este screen.
Once we're in the platform, you're going to see this layout with the different icons. You're going to see a summary section or a taskbar, a menu. The first one is a organization section. The project section is next. The user account, preferences, the exit button, etc. And when you select your organization, you will see a summary of your organization, the details, updates, meaning when was the last time you entered your data or your information, emails you receive or messages from the received by the platform, documents you've submitted, comments, and the number of documents that you have submitted. In the organization section, you can also add a new project. You can also edit information of your organization. For example, if you changed the address, if the office is in a different address, or the contact person is a different person, you can edit all that information. We also have the home screen, the menu, organization, user manual, my preferences, exit. All these buttons are available. This is all information. The user manual is going to help you how to use the platform, the online platform. Support information, contacts. You can change your language preferences, your data. You can add a picture. It looks like a normal, like a social media page or a page of an organization. In the project section, you can also hit the plus sign and add a new project, which is what we're going to do. We want to present a new project to Marfund. Once you click that, you can step by step take the process of creating a new project. It's an online proposal form. Everything is all the areas to fill out. The financial window, you're going to select the name of the project, what is the budget, etc. You can write your proposals in Word, as a Word doc, and then you can just copy it and submit it on the platform or directly work on it on the online platform. It's always a good idea to have a backup on a Word document so you don't forget any details. Also, there's instructions available that help you follow each step. And also remember there is a inactivity period of 30 minutes. If you stop working for 30 minutes, it'll log off. Or if there was a power outage or you received a phone call and you had to take uh, this call, and if you don't save everything you've done so far, you're going to lose all the changes. So remember to save, to hit save every time you can. You can do it as many times you want until you complete the whole proposal for the project. Little by little, day by day, the system will always show you when you log in again, there's going to be a home screen. And to continue with what you left off with, you can always hit the project menu of your organization and you click on edit to edit your proposal. Remember that the proposal has to have a budget, a development chart or a table, Appendix A, C, B, and other annexes. These are all annexes that are going to be attached in the documents section that you can see on screen. These are all the files that you are going to be uploading little by little. How do you do this? I'm going to show you real quick. The important thing is the file has a very clear name that is identifiable. It includes the date when the information was updated, what the file, the folder is, where it's going to be located, or you can leave it. You don't need to name it. It'll be a default name, our RfP 2023, for example. But make sure it's all uploaded before the closure of the request for applications. How do you do this? We're always in the document section of your proposal. You're in your proposal, you click on it, and then you click a new document. We upload to the cloud of small grants, and it'll open a little window, and you can drag and drop the file, or you can locate it in your computer. And you can rename it, have a name, a reference name, Annex 1, for example, list of participants, project such and such, year 2023. The name of the folder can be left out as default. You don't need to change that. The type of upload is internal. If you put external, we won't be able to open them. So leave it in internal upload. And then click on submit or upload, the green button, and then you'll see the new file on the list there. So probably you're going to be uploading around 10 files in total. Appendix B, C, development, budget, list of participants, the map of the area where you're going to be working, the incorporation of the papers of the organization, any permits that you need. If you are co-managers of the area, you need to upload a co-management plan, etc. Some of these requirements are obligatory, and some you can just upload them and explain why you're including them, right? The important thing is to specify what you're uploading, and if you have shared it in previous RFPs, you can mention this. We've shared this before in a previous RFP. Maybe we don't need to upload it again. If you do not have a document, you have to explain why. Question? So in this case, for us, our co-management plan has expired. Since 2021, we are in the process of updating this or renew this co-management plan, but there's been a change of government, change of ministers. It's all the process had to be restarted all over again this year, opening a new file. So what we have so far is that's the what we've been able to do so far. It we have a letter signed by an official of the city of La Ceiba submitting or informing that the paperwork is in process for the Cayos Cochinos co-management. So if you have this, that's fine. The important thing is you upload the last document you have available and attach this letter or this information that informs that things are in process. For example, if there's an audit being done so far, you can upload what is happening at the moment, or you can specify that you're going to have the documents at the end of 2023 or whatever. If your process is project selected and goes to the next stage, we will write to you and we will ask questions about how all the paperwork is moving forward and what you can include. It's always important to mention what you don't have and why you don't have any documents, or specify that you're not co-managers and you don't have a co-management plan. Thank you, Elisa.
Si hay más preguntas, levanten la mano o me avisan mis colegas si hay más.
If there are any other questions, please raise your hand or write them on the chat box. Then remember that all the sections of the proposal need to be filled out. Once you've finished with all the documentation, this is done before the 16th of October. We hit send proposal. We open the section of projects and we go to the edit project, and in the bottom of this section we will see a button that says send final proposal, and we're only going to do this once we've finished everything, because if you there's no turning back. If you send it, you won't be able to modify it or edit it. If there is a major issue, a mistake or something, and you sent it by mistake, you can write to me, but if it's better not to send anything until it's finally ready. You can save, remember. Don't leave everything to the last day. Don't leave things for the 16th of October or filling out the whole form, because the last day is when there are more people working in the system. It can be overloaded. It can have a few issues. Even a hurricane can hit and you can lose connection. Anything can happen. So please try doing the exercise, filling it out with time. It's okay if you have things to finish on the last day, but it might be more difficult to send it 1 or 2 days before. You have until midnight of the 16th of October to submit, but we can only give any assistance on that day up to 5 p.m. Mexico or Guatemala time. but we cannot be available at 24 hours on that day. So if you have any issues, contact us a few days before whenever you need us.
It's not that there are just 2 or 3 people. There are 40 or 50 people all on the last day, and we cannot help everybody. We want to help you, but sometimes the human resource is lacking, and we don't want to. We want everybody to be able to present their proposals. And so we really appreciate if you can try to write to us with time ahead. So we're here, and if you've sent your proposals, we start evaluating. When you send your proposals, if they're prepared correctly, the system will say your proposal has been sent successfully. The system lets us know that your proposal has been sent. If you don't receive that message, revise your spam just in case it's gone there. It's not in the spam. Look at the online platform to make sure that you have sent it. And if not, we'll send it again. Or you can write to us. Usually, you should receive an email that says your proposal has been sent successfully. Then like that, you will be feeling okay, and then we can revise them. And little by little, through the platform, we will send you comments. You will be receiving notifications in your email that will inform you you should access your online platform and revise the comments. And then in your new project, you will have comments from me, comments from Cynthia, or from Mexico, if you're there, from Maria, or if you're in Honduras, from Maria, the Pat, if you're in Belize, or mine, or it depends on where you are. And also from Carla. So then what do? Well, we send a comment, and then we add the PDFs. We can also add some comments. The objective is, or maybe the objective is not clear, the type is not clear, there's a problem with the title, or your performance indicator is not an impact, or it's not a verification, it's a product. Little specific things so that you can improve your proposals. First revision is something we do internally. If you pass that evaluation, you go on to an external evaluation by a group of experts, a committee that will select the proposals. And we will always share comments with you. You will read them. You will have dates, deadlines for you to deal with those comments, and then you're going to enter new files to the platform, and you put up a new table, for example, in the document section, and you're going to edit within the proposal with the comments that you saw on the PDF. You're not going to put up the whole PDF modified. You're going to just write the notes and attend those notes, those comments that you've received specifically. How are you going to do it? You're going to go to your project, go to details. And how are you going to do it? Okay, you're going to do liquid and solid waste, but you selected the window of reef rescue. There's no relation, change it. Or for example, I could say you're on the traditional window, but your project is not in an eligible area. What happened? Were you confused? So you edit the changes and you resend them again when they're ready. When you have attended all the comments and when you have all the documents updated and they're ready, you edit the proposal. And then you again write, send the proposal. Then you will receive an email saying your proposal has been sent successfully. And then we will be able to pass it to the second phase. Remember to do this. So if you don't do it, if you don't let us know, then we will feel that you have not completed the revision and you will not be able to go to the second phase. If you forget it or something happened, that you were not able to continue with the revision. As I was saying, sometimes the emails go to the spam. So now and then you should go onto your online platform and check your emails. It will say that your proposal has a comment, it was sent, it has 2 comments, or your proposal was accepted, was not accepted.
Ustedes pueden revisar
Why or why not? You can revise the emails and the comments, and we will always give you a date. Something happens, or if you don't have time to actually attend this, you can always approach us and say, look, I had to go on a trip. I'm going to be on vacation. Can you give me 3 more days? Can I have an extra week? Usually we cannot give more than 1 week, because if we give you too much time, it's not possible. But we all have unexpected events. And so there is this possibility. And you have to know that we are trying to actually help you in what we can. If you have any problems, write to us. And finally, write to us. Okay. Lisa, this is Oscar Rosales.
Igualmente, ¿puedo hacer 2 preguntas?
Claro que sí, claro que sí.
La primera es, bueno, nosotros queremos presentar para una propuesta para la modalidad del programa tradicional para el refugio de vida silvestre Punta de Manaví. La
Sí.
consulta es la siguiente. En ese sentido, existen varios componentes: empresas y negocios sostenibles, fortalecer resiliencia y gestión de aguas residuales y desechos y residuos sólidos. ¿Es posible que en la misma propuesta pueda haber un objetivo para cada uno de estos componentes dentro como una propuesta del programa tradicional?
¿Es
¿O ven
posible?
que sea mucho? ¿Sí? Y que sean
Es
temas
posible.
específicos en este caso.
Es posible, pero recomendamos siempre que respondan a uno de los 3 objetivos. Porque hacer los 3 en un proyecto tan pequeño con pocos fondos
Un poco
es muy
pensando,
ambicioso.
un poco pensando, y ahí termino, en que en los temas en que se está planteando, también hay otros proyectos que actualmente nosotros estamos trabajando.
Okay.
Y son temas un poco más para buscar, que es la otra pregunta que hago, temas de contrapartida.
Ya.
En este sentido, por eso preguntaba, o sea, en los 3 componentes, ver temas muy específicos, ¿verdad? Si eso es factible o lo ven muy complicado.
Yo lo veo muy ambicioso. Conociendo nuestro comité, puede ser que vaya a decir, este proyecto es de muchas
Okay, knowing our committee, I don't think you can do this. Its project is of several phases. I think that you have to do an evaluation, and within the evaluation, within the organization, see what is most urgent. Because in the counterpart, we ask for 25% of the total. And it's not a very large amount. But what I would look for within these three objectives, what is the most necessary for your organization at the moment? I would like to mention an example. For example, to strengthen resilience, there is something that has to do with investment that says strengthen food security, access to potable water, etc. This is an example. We have possibilities to add a counterpart on this aspect in some communities here, but is it sufficient? Because we consider it's very specific and we want to add it to other components too. And which would be the examples? That's my question. Well, water management of wastewaters or solid waste, where they're doing different work, types of work with plastic waste. This is something that can be added. And there's another project where there's also progress in different processes. There's a series of activities, but we still have to complete the certain equipment to be able to add some added value so that we can put some of the projects of the products into the market, which would be the results of recycling plastic waste, for example. Here's what we're looking. And what's the third? That has to do with the community business. Exactly. The same community. Are these the same communities? No, they are different communities. So we always have the backup of the protected area, which is the CONASA, with whom we are working. The majority of proposals where we are seeking the approval of the area, because we don't administer the protected area, but we have collaboration agreements with CONAP. So with recycling, as you commented, is at small scale? Yes, it is. And I would like to mention, because in the Quesalipa community, it's a process that another project is also carrying out. And the academia is also there doing some research. But this is not something new that we're talking about. It's something that's already there, and we want to look for something that's missing to be able to complete it. I would recommend two things. Maybe we should have a complementary call to see your ideas. And finally, what we're looking for is a participation of groups of women thinking about market activities that has to do with recycling products. This is a process that's been going on for 15 or 18 months already. I'm going to suggest something and then read it carefully afterwards, and you can make a different decision. What I think is the best is to do everything at small scale, and I would justify it in the resilience objective. I like that very much because it's very heterogeneous and we can add a lot of things there. You can justify it and you can specify that you're looking for the resilience of many communities with the support of CONAF, and that you want to do this, this, and this. This is a very large objective to strengthen the resilience of these communities. And you can, within this, you can have some smaller specific objectives, which can be to improve the conditions of plastic waste, also family businesses, and the other one, which I don't remember. Okay, sorry, Oscar. So it could be like this. We're seeking to strengthen the communities under resilience, I see it, and to differentiate what they're going to be doing, because it's not such a large objective, because as you see, the the Forum for Sustainable Business has a lot of questions. You can take a look at it and then think about whether your project is actually complying with all of this, or if it has more to do with resilience to strengthen a community or group of families, group of women. And maybe a second phase would be so that this small business can be strengthened, receive training sessions, some more seed fund to be able to turn it into a true business. So I would recommend that you revise it well and to try to fit it into one of the specific objectives to justify it all as one sole project. Then we can say we're going to do this, this, or this.
Sí.
Perfecto. Y una última pregunta es la contraportada.
One last question I have is the counterpart is 25%. Is it auditable or is it in kind? It can be in kind, it can be in cash. It can be equipment that you already have in the organization, time given by the community, anything you decide. And we are not going to audit it unless it's an auditable project. We are not going to revise this counterpart. We're just going to ask, what is your initial counterpart? And then in the end, we're going to confirm if it was more or less that amount. We are not going to prepare a financial report or audit it. It's only we only need your counterpart letters. So I will email you if we have any needs, any support with people from the university to be able to focus more on what we want to do. Thank you, Oscar, and thank you. There are more questions, I think. And the hand. There's another question in the chat. Thank you, Carla and Elisa. I see that in the residual water and solid waste component, there are several elements that could be included. My question is, can we apply for the application of tools that exist in the region, the topic of sustainable tourism? I am interested in replicating the social and tourism and sustainable tourism and the hotel reduction of plastic use. For the area of Isabel, I see there are no tourist businesses that are operating in the areas that we have influence. Sarstún Manabique, they are mainly in the Puerto Barrio Livingston area and in the Rio Dulce National Park. Could we apply for this implementation of this less reduction of plastic in hotels along the river basin? Okay, so it's on the river basin of Rio Dulce, which is the greatest tourism area. Personally, I would say yes, because all the flow or the discharge of the hotels goes to the reef or to the basin and then finally to the ocean and ending up in our reefs. So if you can justify this very well and how this tool can be used and hotels can try it and apply it, implement it, we can see the before and after of the benefits, long-term benefits of using this tool in the area. Even if it's not directly in the reef, it is upstream or in the watershed. It all finally ends up in the ocean or in the the reef. So you can apply. Sergio mentioned a question when registering a new organization in the platform. There is information, general information that is requested. So you can indicate where you're located, the contact person, your
Sin embargo, después para aplicar,
phone number, and then once you have access or to apply, you have to have documents of the organization. Sergio works with a CONAP, right? If I'm not mistaken, yes. So yes. So you have to include the documents that maybe you don't know if you need the CONAP constitution documents, but anything else that pertains to the proposal. At the end of you mentioned you are from your work with CONAP, and I'm going to work with this or the other. I always recommend that you have the backing of an NGO, because it's going to be easier to use the funds through NGOs. But it's great that CONAP is included because we need your help. Maybe if you don't have an article of incorporation of the CONAP, you don't need to annex them right away. But I don't know, you would have to find out, because CONAP is not an organization, it's a government agency or entity. So you would have to find out what kind of information you can include. Are there any other questions that Sergio has? If not, we continue with Claudia. It's very complicated, I understand. There are organizations and entities that don't have access to these documents, but share whatever you have and you can explain, clarify. You can explain what you have, what you don't, and because it's an NG and a government entity, we don't apply. Whatever you can explain so that we know you are aware that you have to share everything you can, and that you're looking for a way of sharing it. If you don't put anything, any explanation, it sounds like the proposal is not complete. I know that at government level things are a little harder, but whatever you have is important, because many of these requirements are for NGOs and some don't apply for the government. Whatever you can share is perfect, and the rest we can find it out once proposals are submitted. All right. The has been mentioned that civil associations that apply to the fund are based in Mexico, and they have to propose the application of the tool in Guatemala. That's the country. So let's hear his question. This is the organization that has implemented the tools in all the 4 countries. It has the tools and all the necessary requirements to be able to apply them correctly in Guatemala. This is okay. The complexity of this situation is that it's very difficult to redirect funds. And we are going to disperse the funds to, for example, to Mexico, and then all the funds have to be relocated to Guatemala. And this is the exchange rate and all the fees. There is a loss in all this process. There have been projects before where there are 2 countries involved, and there are there are many expenses that come with this situation. It would be better if you're focused in Mexico or in Guatemala, but it would be better to find an organization in Guatemala that applies. It's important to understand your case very well. What's the organization called? Sustentar. Sustentur. And can you guys connect with a Guatemalan organization and become a counterpart? We are going to probably go over it. We have some very strategic partners in Guatemala. So we're going to continue evaluating this on over email, and I can talk to our director, technical director and executive director to talk about your case, because it sounds like a very good idea. Thank you. Excellent. Claudia mentions is a counterpart for expenses. Can these be a 10%? Can the counterpart be expenses incurred by the promoting organization other than the 10% administration fee? Yes, it can be in kind, equipment. It can be separate to the 10%. It can be 10% administration and 15% salaries, equipment, etc. All the infrastructure, yes, of course. Hi, Elisa. With the counterpart, can we consider an amount? This is a Quintana Roo project with a collaboration with a university of the United States. And part of this, the funds that would be used or the budget for travel expenses are going to be given by the university. This is all counterpart? It doesn't no matter if it's funds coming from another country? Yes, it can. It's a counterpart, even if it's a donation in kind or a collaboration, whatever. It's always included as counterpart. But it would be good to have a letter clarifying that this university in the United States is providing a certain amount to the project. And so my question is, what about all the travel, the per diem of people coming from the states and the field technicians? They're going to have expenses. Do we have to specify that? No, you don't have to specify these expenses. Just overall, what is going to be provided? You don't need details at this moment. It all adds up. Thank you, Elisa. And that's great to know that you're going to apply it once again. So I think this is all in my part. And remember, there's a help section. You can write to us, to me, Elisa, or Carla. And we also have a support technician or help person when there are issues with the platform. We hope not, but just in case, there's always someone ready to help. And we wish you good luck and get to work presenting your proposals. And we're very happy to be here with you today, once again, working together with the small grants and the RFPs in this regard. If there are any other questions, we have 15 more minutes to cover any other questions or doubts. If anybody wants to stick around to talk about or ask any questions. And I just want to give final thanks to everyone for being here with us and the whole team of Marfund, the member funds, the Biosphere Foundation, Mexican Fund, FSCG, and PACT. And thanks to our partners, our beneficiaries, and we are going to share all the recordings, the presentation, of course, with all of you. But remember, apply. Don't forget to apply. If we want to have new projects, new ideas, new impacts with our organizations in the Mesoamerican Reef, to have healthier reefs, more resilient communities, and clean water to be able to swim in and enjoy in the mar. So we're going to stay a few more minutes for any other questions.
Yes, we will be sharing everything that you need. And there's Facebook Live. The recording is there for you to be able to see it again.
Voy a parar mi presentación, solo si se quedan un poquito más.
So if you stay a little longer, you can see my presentation and take a photo if it's possible. We've lost a few of the participants, but the best are here. I'm very pleased that this workshop was very helpful. We shall continue doing this every year. This is the fourth year, and we're happy to have you here with us and interested in small donations. This is not the only time we're going to have invitations this year. We've had 2 or more. We will have more next year with other programs of Marfund. So you know that we are very happy to have you as friends and partners. Thank you. I'm going to take a couple of photos since you're all here. If I can. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the second page.
A la 1.
1, 2, and 3. Very good, very good. So if there are no more questions, and we thank you very much. Okay, we do have a question by Andres. Thank you for all of you, to all of you that have to leave now. Have a happy day and good luck. I'm going to read the question that Andres sent. Okay. Has Marfund people, have you considered working starting from integrated management of basins and micro basins? Greetings. Yes, we have done so, and we're actually, small grants is an example. We have had some successful cases, but the important thing for the integrated management of watersheds is that this watershed should have influence on one of the eligible areas. If it does not have influence on it, it's very difficult to justify it for these particular small grants. I don't know where you wanted to work on this, Andres, but we have worked watershed upstream, and for it to reach the reef in a area that is close to one of the eligible areas. So it can be done. It has to be well justified. Have to look at all the effects and the impacts of working upstream. And we have done it, but the important thing is to know where to do it, because there have been cases, there are cases.
Con Martuar hemos trabajado.
I think there's Martuar, we have worked on this before. Andres, are you there? I don't know if you had a watershed, a specific watershed in mind. Yes, Lisa, good afternoon. We have been trying to clarify this in the Sierra Santa Cruz. For more than 30 years, we've been working with other institutions. This is an area that basically in the last proposals, it's been in 3 blocks as a proposal for protected area. So there's an area that's known as Cerro 1019, and this is a forest that provides water to more than 50 communities, including a large city that has more than 20 neighborhoods. And we are very concerned of the cultures and the accelerating and the storms, Eta, Iota, Julia, and all these things that happen that we've been people that are buying land and they're planting African palm. And the last 4 or 5 months during this year, we've had a drastic drought. And we have been very vulnerable regarding water. And I think in other parts of the country too. So this is where I wanted to mention the idea of a project, that these projects should not only look at the coastal areas, but also if they could have some initiatives that can be developed in other areas with grassroots organizations in these regions, because it helps the Izabal and Rio Dulce ecosystem and the Mar region and everything that can be done in the positively in the high and medium area. So this is what I wanted to mention. Yes, we have supported the Lestor community with some foundations. It's possible. It has to be well justified because we are watershed upstream. You have to mention what you're going to do, if it's reforestation, if it's water resources. It's not that we exclude it, but it does have to be justified because if we're far from the coast, the impact is important. But if there is not a long term for this, and if the project does not cover too much or enough, then then we would look for some. But we are open to these proposals. They're new organizations. So please go ahead. We can talk about it, and you can propose a proposal. It's far from the coast, but they're not so far from Lestor. I was looking at the map and right now, so I don't see any rivers, but anything that's underground. Actually, we are in this case, our limits of the San Felipe and with the Colombino Maya port in a community that's known as Santa Marta, which is near Livingston. So this is where we are. So Rio Dulce basically is the watershed of the Izabal Lake. And there are other areas that are being taken that are in Lestor, we're in the middle area. So I say that we're like the siphon of the Isabel Lake, where everything is drained into this. And we have the micro watershed. We have 24 streams, 14 that come down from the Sangil mountain and from the Sartum, which also bring us some streams. And so here we are concerned because we have feel that the way that the solid wastes are being managed concerns us greatly. And these are actually reaching our area. Definitely, definitely. It is very interesting. And Andres, I think that it is, if it's justified, you can apply without problems. Thank you very much. And we're working on some initiatives here and with our NGO. We have a shared agreement and we're working on the manatee a lot and also the micro basins that are of importance for our rivers. So that's basically where we're looking at the possibilities of having some initiatives with the communities. Welcome, welcome, definitely. Very good. We're going to close at 4 o'clock on the dot. Also the translation with Gloria Nabil. Thank you very much for being with us. I saw that Rocio and Isabel also have their hands up, so we're going to have time to hear their questions. Anybody needs to leave, there's no problem. We've finished the workshop, so I thank you very much. Rocio, would you like to mention something? Thank you, Lisa and Carla. It was mainly to strengthen a little bit this aspect. I know that the Rio Dulce National Park aspect and to justify it and link it with what we have done with the solid waste here, even if the characterization that was done was in around the urban area and some communities, it does actually affect our protected areas, in the wildlife area. And this is a very controversial topic. And as he said, this is a sponge, and then we have the National Rio Dulce Park, which is a siphon. And then this actually has to carries all the waste that reach it. And so we need to link it with this topic because basically we're just one system in the end. And it is there are protected areas and different ecosystems, but in the end, the objective is for the protection of the mar. So I think that we need to reinforce maybe this, that we could link this aspect so that it could be worked on the micro basins because we work with solid waste and we try to include the mayors of the Colochiman community for this Colochi micro basin because this is something we want to start from the top, which is the main problem of all of this that is reaching the sea. Yes, Roseo, if you have do you have contact with Andres? If you'd like to share some emails through the chat, please do so. And it is related. And what Andres has mentioned is definitely related. Isabel, thank you. A pleasure. I have two questions. The first has to do with the sargassum. If it would be in window number 1 as wastewater management, or in the second as part of this coastal system resilience. The other part is within window 1, there's a resilience area. And if this area for resilience, if we can talk about ecological resilience too. Could you give me some examples of sargassum, for example? What you're going to do with the sargassum? You're going to replace it, or are you going to reuse it? We're interested in evaluating the effect on the reef communities. So it would be, okay, it would be water quality. See, window number one. And strengthening of the resilience could be ecological resilience in window one. Okay, one moment. So in this case, it would be, would there be something related to the effect on the corals as a lab or just water quality? No, for example, colonization potential, or how it changes the community of corals in function of the quantity sargassum that reaches. So you're going to be taking samples and monitoring them. Could be both windows depending on how it is justified. Because if it's very specific to coral colonization, the larvae, etc., the coral, etc., then that's more traditional. So it would be water quality, but we should place that type of actions or activities that you're going to be doing, because if you put agra, or if you put lychee, or you put diseases, coral diseases, then we're more on the reef rescue initiative. So it has to be well understood what kind of actions, if it has to do with water, oxygen, temperature, pH, and its effect on what reaches the reef. I think I lost it. We lost Elisa. Oh, there you are. So that would be traditional. We lost Elisa.
Puedes dar unos ejemplos.
I'm going to give you some examples. So, for example, how is the area of the beach, the concentration is less in function of the sargassum, the ecological function of the sargassum is what we're talking about. And this related to tourism, to economic benefits, or how would you do this? I think it's more related to how we change the function of the health of the reef, how the reef deteriorates depending on the concentration. Okay. So you're going to measure something specific on the reef? Yes, the sargassum. We're measuring heavy metals, oxygen, etc. And we would also be putting some structures in for recruiting and see how it changes depending on the concentration of these heavy metals. Interesting. It's complex. So I would think that if you're looking at this aspect of resilience of coral, yes, well, we could divide it on one side, a project on one hand that talks about water quality, and another project that deals with reef health. Considering these aspects, could we have these two projects? Yes, you can have two projects in two windows. And in one window, only one project or several? Well, you would be competing against yourself in that case. So that you would have double work. Where are you thinking of doing this? The south of Quintana Roo, Mahahual, Banco Chichorro. It's a protected restricted eligible area. So maybe there might be more funds from the traditional section, but on the other hand, there could be less competition regarding reef rescue because we have many that apply to the traditional and a little bit less that apply to the reef rescue. So here you have to evaluate and see if it's worth doing both of them or just focus on one. Focus on one regarding water quality. That could be also something you can do. And on
Another question I have is, we are there, we appear as a registered entity already. So we, as part of Ecosur, can we work under Ecosur? It's for Marfan, we were registered already, and yes, we have seen that it's difficult when funds are sent to the university to be able to apply them to projects. It is a very slow process, so it can delay. There can be a little bit of a delay. So when it's working through universities, we recommend that you apply through an NGO. It is much, much easier, less complications. We have accepted ECOSUR proposals, but we prefer you do it through an NGO. It's basically, is it a matter of ECOSUR being able to allocate the funds? This is something we can solve here, basically talking, but the requirements have changed. Now universities don't apply. It's basically, we request that you please collaborate through an NGO. It is a more feasible process. Okay. Thank you all of those who stayed with us, and a big hug to everybody, and goodbye.
Paramos las grabaciones.